Hi, in this video I am going to explain labor cost. Before we go for the problem, let me explain the basic concept of labor cost. See, what is the meaning of labor? See, labor is one of the most important factors of production. There are four factors of production are there now: land, labor, capital, organization. In that, labor is one of the most important factor. Okay, so generally, labors are classified into two categories. One is direct labor, another one is indirect labor. Direct labor means the labor those are directly involving in the production process are called direct labor, and all other employees are called as indirect labor. But anyway, both the laborers are employed in an organization. So both the employees or laborers are very important for the remuneration calculation. Okay, generally they have to be paid remuneration for the service rendered by them. So laborer need to paid by the organization. So labor costing is the responsibility of cost accounting department. So in the cost accounting department, they need to prepare payroll for labor. In that, labor hours are to be converted into money at the rate prevailing in the organization. Okay, for that they need to follow a certain method to calculate the remuneration for them. Before we go for the problem, let me explain two concepts. One is remuneration and incentives. So there is a difference between remuneration and incentive. Remuneration means it is a reward for the labor and service. So employees, they'll get remuneration or wage from the employer. No, that amount is called remuneration. Whereas incentive means this is the amount or is a scheme which is introduced by the organization. Incentive schemes are stimulation of effort and effectiveness. So this is the amount which is given by the employer for their service. This is also amount which is given by the employer to stimulate, to increase, to encourage the employee to work effectively or efficiently. For that purpose, they'll give incentive system. So these are the two important things. But now in this video, I'm going to explain only the different methods of remuneration. In the next video, I'm going to explain different methods of incentive system. There are different methods of remuneration calculations are there. The remuneration can be given on two bases. One is R basis, and second one production or output. And according to this one, irrespective of the output, okay, they won't see the performance, they won't see their output. They'll see only how many number of hours worked by the employee. So based on the number of hours worked, they'll give the remuneration. But here, they won't see the hour. They'll see only the result, the final result, that is the output. So based on number of unit produced by the employee or labor, based on that, they'll calculate the wage. So these are the major classification or major division of calculation of wages. But now, so hourly basis means otherwise called as time rate system. Okay, so on the basis of calculating, on the basis of R, this is called as time rate system. So based on the time, they'll calculate the amount or they'll calculate the wage. Okay, the second one is production or output basis. So this is called as piece rate system. So piece rate system means based on the output, number of pieces produced by the employee for a particular time. So on the basis of a piece, they'll calculate the wage. These are the two bases. One is time rate basis, another one is a piece rate basis. So this piece rate system again classified into two categories. One is straight piece rate system, and second one is differential piece rate system. Okay, so these are the two divisions or two classification which comes under piece rate system. Piece rate system means there will be a fixed piece rate system will be there. They will calculate the number of units produced by each employee and multiply with the fixed piece rate system. That is, they'll have, for example, for each unit the employee will entitled to get 10 rupees means how many number of units produced. For example, he produced 5 units. So 5 into 10, 50 rupees. If the employee B produced 6 units means 6 into 10, 60 rupees. So that the straight piece rate will be fixed by the organization based on the number of unit produced. The employee will get the amount. So this type of calculation is called straight piece rate system, and this is totally different here. Differential piece rate system means there will be no fixed rate for any employee. They'll have a different types of piece rate. They'll have a different rate for each and every employee based on the performance or based on the efficiency. So in that, they need to calculate, or they need to observe, or they need to find the level of performance. Based on the level of performance, they'll calculate the piece rate. So there will be no fixed piece rate. They'll have different piece rate for different employees based on their level of performance. So in this, again we have three categories. So there are three authors. They have derived three different formulas for piece rate system. Taylor differential piece rate system, and second one Merrick differential piece rate system, and third one Gantt task. Gantt task bonus system. So these are the three differential piece rate system is available. So these are the three great authors. They have derived different formula or different procedure to calculate the wage rate. First I am going to explain how to calculate wage based on the time and based on piece rate. So let us see the problem for this one. After this, then we can go for the four different methods, that is a straight piece rate system and three differential piece rate system. See this problem. Mr. X, a worker in a factory, is paid on time basis. See, time basis. He is getting remuneration based on time. During the month of October 2014, he has worked for 220 hours. His hourly wage rate is 12 rupees per hour. Okay, so Mr. X receives wage based on time. Okay, so in that case, you have to see only how many number of hours worked and what is the rate per hour. That's all. Just multiply these two things to get the wage according to time basis. Then Mr. Y, another employee of the company, is paid on the basis of piece wage. Okay, so according to the number of pieces produced by Y, so he is getting wages based on piece. During the month of October 2014, his output was 1100 units. He produced 1100 units. Okay, rate of wage per piece. So rate of wage per piece 3 rupees 50 pies. So just multiply number of units produced and rate per piece. Multiplying these two, you will get the wage according to piece rate. So calculate the wage of respective workers for the month of October 2014. So now you can easily solve this and you can easily find the solution. Wages of worker X. How will calculate? Time wages is equal to number of hours worked into rate per hour. Okay, so number of hours worked into rate per hour will be the answer. See, how many number of hours he worked? 220 hours. Okay, wage rate per hour is 12 rupees. So multiply two things. Hours worked 220 hours into rate per hour 12 rupees per hour. Okay, multiply. What is the answer? 220 into 12 rupees 2640. That's all. In the same way, you can calculate wages for worker Y. Okay, he is getting piece wage. Piece wages. So, what is the formula? Number of pieces produced into rate per piece. Number of pieces. How many number of pieces produced? Output was 1100 units. Rate per piece 3 rupees 50 pies. 1100 units into 3 rupees 50 pies. What is the answer? 3850. That's all. So now we are clear about time rate and piece rate. So now I'm going to explain straight piece rate system and three differential piece rate system. So what is the meaning of straight piece rate system? So what is the formula? How you will calculate wages according to this one? Straight piece rate system. Okay, so according to this method, earnings, the formula is earnings is equal to number of units produced into fixed rate per unit. Fixed rate per unit. This is the formula to calculate earnings. So according to straight piece rate system, earnings is equal to how many number of unit produced by each employee into what is the standard or fixed rate per unit. Multiply with this, you will get the total wage according to straight piece rate system. Next one, B. Differential piece rate system. Differential piece rate system. So differential piece rate system means they'll charge a different piece rate for different employees based on their level of performance. So according to Taylor differential piece rate system, first you need to calculate the level of performance of the employee. So the level of performance result will be standard, low or high. Okay, so standard means if they fix 100 unit for every day, means if the employee produce 100 unit means he is at standard level. If the employee produce only 80 means he is below standard, that is a low performer. And if the employee produce 120 means he will be a high performer. His level of performance is high. So after finding the level of performance, that is standard, low or high, then you need to calculate piece rate. So there will be a different piece rate for different employees according to their level of performance. Here we have two things. One is 80% piece rate for below standard performance. If the employee perform below standard, for example, if the employee produce 80 units means he will be below standard. So he will be getting only 80% of piece rate. For example, the piece rate is 10 rupees for each unit means he is entitled to get only 8 rupees per unit. Why? Because he is a below standard performer. And second one is 120%. 120% of piece rate for performance at or above standard. Okay, if the employee performance is standard performance means he is entitled to get 120% of piece rate. So this 120% piece rate is applicable at or above standard. If the employee produces above standard, for example, the standard is 100 units. No, if the employee produces 120 or 130, that is which means above standard. So whether he is at standard or above standard, so this percentage is applicable for both the cases. So there are three cases are there. No, standard, at standard, low and high. For low, 80% piece rate. For standard and high standard, 120% piece rate is applicable. Look at this problem. Straight piece rate system and Taylor's differential piece rate system. For this, I have taken one problem. On the basis of the following information, calculate the earnings of X and Y under straight piece rate system and Taylor's differential piece rate system. Standard production 20 units per hour. So each and every hour the employee need to produce 20 units. This is called as standard production or fixed production. And normal time rate is 10 rupees per hour. So every hour they can get 10 rupees. Differential piece rate to be applied, that is 80% of piece rate for below standard performance and 120% piece rate for performance at or above the standard. I have already explained, Taylor's differential piece rate is applicable based on these two conditions. So only when you have the actual performance and standard performance, then only you can able to identify their level of performance. So actual performance of X and Y separately given. For X produced 160 units in a day of 10 hours and Y produced 220 units in a day of 10 hours. With this information, they ask you to calculate wages for X and Y. According to this information, they ask you to prepare straight piece rate system and Taylor's differential piece rate system. First, you have to write the standard time and time rate, okay, which is given in the problem. That is standard time allowed for 20 units is 1 hour. Okay, see, look at this problem. The standard production is 20 units per hour. Okay, so every hour they need to produce 20 units. And time rate. Time rate is rupees 10 per hour. Look at the problem. The normal time rate is rupees 10 per hour. So every hour the person will get 10 rupees. Okay, now hence for 1 unit is equal to rupees 10 divided by 20 units. Rupee 50 pies. So every piece the person will get 50 pies. That is a straight piece rate. That is a fixed piece rate is 50 pies. How we got this value? The formula is standard rate per hour divided by standard production per hour. Okay, the standard rate per hour is 10 rupees. So standard rate per hour is 10 rupees divided by standard production per hour. So every hour they need to produce how many units? 20 units. This is the formula to find out the fixed piece rate, that is straight piece rate. For each and every piece the employee will entitled to get 50 pies for every piece he produce. After finding the piece rate only, then you can go for calculate the wage. What is the first method? So according to straight piece rate system, earnings is equal to number of units produced into piece rate. Okay, so with the help of this formula you can able to find the earnings or wages for two different employees. So how many number of units produced by X? His actual performance. So X produced 160 units and Y produced 220 units. So according to straight piece rate system, after finding the piece rate, just multiply with their actual performance to know the wage for different employees. How many number of units produced? 160 units. What is the piece rate? 50 pies. Answer is 80. For Y, how many units produced? 220 units. Piece rate 50 pies per piece is equal to 110. That's all. Okay, so according to straight piece rate system, you can easily calculate the wage. Just take the number of units produced which is given in the problem and multiply with the piece rate. So how will calculate piece rate? Just take the standard rate per hour and standard production per hour. So after applying this formula, you can get the piece rate for each and every piece. Just multiply with the unit produced and find the answer. The second one is Taylor's differential piece rate system. For Taylor's differential piece rate system, first you need to find the level of performance. How you will calculate the level of performance? So actual performance is there. With this you need to compare standard performance. What is the standard performance? 20 units per hour. So how many hours they worked? 10 hours. For each hour they need to produce 20 units. So the standard performance will be 20 into 10, 200 units. The standard performance is 20 into 10 hours. 20 units in 10 hours is equal to 200 units. So they need to produce 200 units. This is the standard. Now compare with the actual. X produced 160 units, which means he is a low performance. For X, his actual performance is 160. Standard performance is 200. He is under below performance. Why? Because his actual performance is 160 units, which below the standard level. Now compare the Y. Y actual performance is 220, but the standard performance is 200. He is above performance. Okay, so for Y, above performance, X below performance. So what is the piece rate is applicable for both of them? Just look at the condition. So after finding the performance, now we got the performance, that is the level of performance is X below performance, Y above performance. Just see the calculation of piece rate. So for below performance, that is 80% piece rate for below standard performance. So X comes under below performance, so only 80% of piece rate. So what is the piece rate that we have calculated? No, what is the piece rate? 50 pies. For each unit, they'll be getting 50 pies. No, so in that only 80% is applicable to low performance. Just calculate, and for above performance, 120% of piece rate. Now we have to find out the low performance and above performance piece rate. For X into 80%. So 40 pies. So actual piece rate, standard piece rate is or straight piece rate 50 pies. No, in that 80% is 40 pies. So this is applicable to X. For Y, 0.50 pies into 120%. Just calculate 120%. The answer is 60 pies. Okay, this piece rate is applicable for X and this piece rate is applicable for Y. Why? Because he is below performance, he is above performance. Now calculate the earnings. X produced 160 units. That is below standard. For him, 160 into 40 pies is equal to rupees 64. For Y produced 220 units, that is above standard. For him, 220 into 60 pies, rupees 132. So now straight piece rate system and Taylor's differential piece rate system is over. Now I am going to explain the remaining two methods. So now I am going to explain the second method, that is Merrick's multiple or differential piece rate system. So according to Merrick's, he has given some procedure to calculate the piece rate. So for this, in order to apply this method, first you need to find the level of performance. I told you, as we have calculated level of performance in the earliest problem, we can follow the same thing. So after finding the level of performance, we can easily categorize the employee into three different categories. The first one is less than 83% of standard output, and second category is 83 to 100%, and the last one is above 100%. If the employee's performance is below 83% of standard output, means he will be getting ordinary piece rate. Ordinary piece rate means the fixed piece rate is there. The person will be entitled to get only the fixed piece rate system. And second one is if the level of performance is 83 to 100%, he will be getting 110% of ordinary piece rate. And the last category is above 100%. If the employee produced more than the standard output is called above, that is 100%, more than 100% of the standard output. He is entitled to get 120% of ordinary piece rate. So these are the three categories according to Merrick's multiple differential piece rate system. Look at this problem. Merrick's multiple or differential piece rate system. Calculate the earnings of three workers A, B and C under Merrick's multiple piece rate system. Given the following information. So information is there. Based on this, they ask you to calculate the piece rate according to Merrick's. Standard production per day 300 units. Normal piece rate 1 rupee per unit. Production of workers on a particular day is given. So actual performance of 3 employees given. The standard production is 300. The standard is given. So you can easily compare the standard with actual to know the level of performance. For this, first you need to find the level of performance. So what is the formula for level of performance? Actual output divided by standard output into 100. You can compare the actual and standard to know the level of performance. For A, his actual performance, his actual output is 240 units. No, 240. Standard production per day 300 units. Divided by 300 into 100. What is the answer? 80%. B's actual 280 units, standard 300 units. 93.33%. His level of performance is 93.33. For C, 350 units divided by standard 300 into 100. 116.6666. So you can take 67%. So with the help of actual and standard, you can easily find the level of performance of each employee. If the employee performs less than 83% of standard output, he'll be getting ordinary piece rate. If the employee performs 83 to 100%, 110% of ordinary piece rate. If the employee performs more than 100% of standard output, he'll entitled to get 120% of ordinary piece rate. Now you can find the earnings of each employee. So second one is earnings. So you need to find the earnings of each and every employee separately. Okay, earnings is equal to unit produced into normal piece rate. How many number of units produced by A? 240 units, no? So 240 units. So now we have to find the normal piece rate. What is the normal piece which is given in the problem? Look at the problem. Normal piece rate is 1 rupee per unit. If the employee performance is less than 83% means he will entitled to get only ordinary piece rate. So ordinary piece rate is 1 rupee. No. So his performance is 80%, which means below 83%. So he is entitled to get only normal rate, that is 1 rupee. What is the answer? Rupees 240. That's all. For A, 240 is a wage. For B, how many number of units produced by B? 280 units. So 280 into, now we have to find the wage rate. So his performance is 93.33%, which comes under second category. 93.33, no, that is 110% of ordinary piece rate. So what is the ordinary piece rate? 1 rupee, no. In that 110% is applicable. 1 rupee into 110%. 110 divided by 100 is 1.1. Just multiply 1.1 into 280. Rupees 308. Now C. For C, what is his percentage? Level of percentage is 116.67. If the employee's level of performance is above 100%, he will be entitled to get 120% of ordinary piece rate. His actual performance 350. So 350 into 1 rupee into 120%. So 120% of 1 rupee is 1.2. 1.2 into 350. What is the answer? That's all. So far we have discussed time rate and piece rate, straight piece rate system. In differential piece rate system, so far we have discussed Taylor's and Merrick. Now I am going to explain the last one, gun task bonus system. According to this method, first we need to find the level of performance. So how we will find the level of performance? For that, the standard time is fixed for a task. For example, if you want to produce 1 unit, you can take 1 hour. The standard time is fixed for a task to be performed by the worker. Then they'll compare the actual time taken to complete the task with the standard time to know the efficiency. The efficiency will be calculated or compared with the help of two things. One is actual unit produced and the standard time fixed by the organization. Okay, with the help of this, they can find the level of performance. The first one is less than 100%. So less than 100% means who takes more than the standard time. For example, for each and every unit they can take 1 hour. If the employee takes 1.5 hours means he takes more than the standard time. So his level of performance is less than 100%. So for him, he'll be getting time wage. So based on the time, he'll entitled to get the wage, not based on the output produced. Why? Because his performance is less than 100%. So he won't be getting any wage based on the output. He'll be getting wage based on the time. Okay, so the time wage will be fixed. No, the fixed time wage will be given to this particular employee who takes more than the standard time. They are called as less than 100% performer. And the second one is at 100%. At 100% means who takes standard time to complete the task. For example, for every unit, the person can take 1 hour. So within 1 hour, they have to complete one unit or one task. No, if the employee complete one unit, if the employee produce one unit in 1 hour, he comes under this category, that is at 100%. For him, time wage plus 20% of bonus of time wage will be given, not based on the output produced by the employee, but based on the time. For example, every day he is working 8 hours means he'll be getting wage based on the hours worked. That is 8 hours means he'll be getting 8 hours wage. So according to time wage plus 20% bonus of time wage will be given to this particular employee whose performance is at 100%. And the last one is greater than 100%. That is more than 100%. This categories denotes who takes less than standard time. So standard time is 1 hour for one unit. No, if the employee complete the task within 45 minutes or within 50 minutes, that is below 1 hour, below the standard time, he comes under this category, that is more than 100% or greater than 100%. For him, the wage will be given based on the whole output produced by the employee into high piece rate system. Okay, the high piece rate will be given in the problem and they'll multiply with the whole number of unit produced by the employee, not based on the time. In the above two conditions, we can calculate wage based on the time, how many number of hours they have worked, not based on the output produced by them, but based on the time. But for him, those who working above 100%, that person will get wage based on the number of units produced into high piece rate system. So high piece rate will be applicable to only those people. These are the three conditions will be applicable to calculate the wage according to Gantt task and bonus plan. Let us see the problem. The following are the particulars applicable to a work process. Time rate 10 rupees per hour. High task 40 units per week. High task means the standard task is fixed 40 units per week. So every week they need to produce 40 units. This is a task given by the organization. This is called as high task or standard task. Piece rate above the high task 12 rupees per unit. If the employee level of performance is above means that person will entitled to get 12 rupees per unit produced by the particular employee. In a 40 hours week, the production of the workers was as follows. So 40 hours worked. So each employee worked for 40 hours. Their output, their final output is given. Their net result is given for a particular week. That is 40 hours a week. A 35 units, B 40 units, C 41 units, D 52 units. Calculate the wages of the workers under Gantt task bonus plan. We have discussed the three different points now. So first you need to find the level of performance. So what is the formula for level of performance? Level of performance. Actual output divided by standard output into 100. Standard means high task is fixed by the organization. No, that task is called high task or standard task. A's actual output is 35. Standard output is 40. So high task means standard. Okay, standard task is 40 units per week. This is standard and this one is actual. Just compare actual with standard. 35 actual, standard 40 into 100. 87.5%. For B, his actual output is 40, standard 40 into 100%. How much? 100%. For C, actual 41, standard 40. His level of performance 102.5. 102.5 percentage. For D, actual 52, standard 40. Percentage 130 percentage. Now we have got the level of performance of each and every employee separately. Level of performance is over. Second one, earnings or wage. A's level of performance is 87.5, which means below 100 percentage. Below 100 percentage. If the performance level of performance is less than, means how much amount he can get? Time wage based on the time. Number of hours worked into rate per hour is called time wage. All the employees worked how many hours? 40 hours. For each and every hour, how much amount they'll get? 10 rupees per hour. Okay, so time rate is 10 rupees per hour. How many number of hours worked? 40. So what is the time wage? 40 into 10, 400 is the time wage. So 40 hours into 10 rupees per hour is equal to 400. For B level of performance is 100 percentage. Just see the rule. At 100 percentage means time wage plus 20 percentage of bonus of time wage. Okay, how will calculate time wage? Same thing. How many number of hours worked all the employee? 40 hours. For every hour, they are entitled to get 10 rupees per hour. So, 400. Okay, for B, time wage plus 20 percentage of time wage. So, 400 into 20 percentage, how much? 80 rupees. No. So, 400 plus 80, 480. C's performance is 102.5 percentage. If the employee's level of performance is greater than 100 percentage, means he won't be getting any time wage, but he will be getting piece rate, that is higher piece rate on the entire output produced by the employee. So higher piece rate into number of unit produced by the employee. What is the higher piece rate given in the problem? 12 rupees per unit. No, high task 12 rupees per unit. So this is a piece rate which is given in the problem. High piece rate 12 rupees per piece into number of unit produced, not based on the hour. If the employee level of performance is more than 100 percentage, means he'll be getting wage based on the unit produced into high piece rate. 41 unit produced into high piece rate per hour, per piece 12 rupees. So what is the answer? Rupees 492. For D's level of performance also more than 100 percentage. The same rule is applicable for D also. How many number of units produced by D? 52 units. What is the high piece rate? 12 rupees per unit. 52 into 12 rupees. 624 rupees. Okay, so far we have discussed these things, that is different methods of remuneration. Time basis, piece basis. So in piece rate system, straight piece rate system and differential piece rate system. In differential, there are three methods: Taylor's, Merrick, Gantt. So these are the things so far we have discussed. In the next video, I am going to explain different methods of incentive system.